Hi, I'm Kristen, and we just got home from spending a whole week at Disneyland. Since I am sadly no longer walking down Main Street, USA, I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about something that brings a lot of families a big amount of stress. How can we have an amazing Disney vacation without the meltdowns from the massive amounts of stimulation at Disneyland? And how to do the dreaded DAS video chat. Plus, a few other Disney accommodations that you may not be aware of. So take a deep breath. I promise I have tips to help this whole process be smoother, less stressful, and absolutely not vacation ruining, even if you end up not getting approved for DAS. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this. Okay, so what is DAS? DAS is Disney's Disability Access Service. It is just one of Disneyland's accommodations for guests with autism and similar disabilities who, for specific reasons, can't wait in a traditional queue. It doesn't skip the line, but rather it lets you wait elsewhere in the park while the queue time counts down, which can be a game changer for sensory spicy individuals and those who get overwhelmed easily. So it works similar to Lightning Lane, but there are some differences. You can ride each ride more than once, which is awesome. Once you've waited for your return time, most rides will allow you to enter through the Lightning Lane. So after that, there's still a little bit of waiting time. Depending on the ride you're going on, it can be a few minutes or a little bit more. Like if you're going on Radiator Springs Racers, sometimes we've waited 15-20 minutes still in the Lightning Lane. So here's a few key reminders. You have to already have purchased your park tickets and made your reservations. You can apply up to 60 days before your first park day. And Disneyland offers an online video chat or an in-park kiosk. The kiosk is for California only, but I do recommend applying online first. Disney has recently tightened qualifications due to past misuse. So it's really important that you are clear and honest with your answers. If you're approved, it'll be on your app for the duration of your trip, unless you're a magic key holder, in which case they approve you for a period of time, and then you just have to reapply periodically throughout the year. Okay, so how to apply for DAS. Before your video chat, I recommend taking a quiet moment to yourself. Grab a pen and paper and write down a few things. Write down what your daily life looks like with this disability. Specific challenges during times of overstimulation and why this prevents you from waiting in a traditional queue. Write down behaviors that happen during difficult times or crowded situations and how this not only affects you, but affects those around you. And then write down accommodations that are used at work, school, or home. Be really specific about this one. When we make accommodations in daily life, it can just become routine, and so we may not think about all the things they do. So really take time and list these all out. If you're applying for a school-age kiddo, go over their IEP if they have one, and just refresh yourself as to all the accommodations that are offered at school, and then look over the portion as to what behaviors they see at school and why these accommodations are made. You're not going to read this like a script. It's just so that the details are fresh in your mind, so that you have them right there in your recall. The cast member will guide the conversation. They know what to ask and in what order they need to know. So be sure to set aside plenty of time for the call. One time I waited over 3 hours in the queue just to talk to the cast member. Once you're ready for your video chat, you go to the Disneyland DAS page on the Disneyland website, read through all the information, and then click Request Live Video Chat. You'll be directed to the virtual queue where you wait for the cast member to become available. Now you will receive periodic prompts, like a "Are you still there?" type thing, and you have to respond to that. This piece always stresses me out because my Disneyland page always logs me out right as I have to respond, and so I have to refresh the page and log back in. But they do give you time to do this. I think you have about 5 minutes to respond, but you do need to stay right there with the chat. So if you're approved, they'll explain how to use DAS, and you'll get a little DAS icon on your Disneyland app. Sometimes that doesn't show up until after you scan into the park, so don't panic if it's not there right away. And then two things will happen when they're talking to you. They'll either approve you right there or escalate the call to a medical professional, and then the medical professional will ask for further details. So at the end of the conversation, either way, usually, whether you've been approved or not, the cast member will go over some other accommodations that you might be able to use in the park. They go over some generic ones and then some that they think might specifically fit your situation. So some of the ones they always go over are sensory spaces, companion restrooms, and then depending on if you're approved or denied, they go over a few other things you can try. So what if DAS is denied? It's okay, really. Disney has other built-in accommodations that can still support your family whether or not you're granted DAS. It's important to set your expectations equal to your own circumstances. So go in with the mind frame of being flexible, willing to pivot when necessary, and as one of my favorite YouTubers says, don't forget to pack your patience. Thank you, SoCal Disney Dad. I would recommend being open to chasing the low wait times and watching a few shows in between. It honestly will make the trip way more memorable when you're able to relax and just take things as they come. Okay, so let's get into the other accommodations that are available. There's Rider Switch, where you can stay behind with someone who isn't into that particular ride. You do have to talk to the cast member at the entrance for this, and they go and put it on your day in the app. For this option, the person sitting out does get to bring an additional guest with them if you have more people, so that nobody has to ride alone, even if that person already rode with the first rider. There's attraction queue reentry, where part of your queue or part of your group waits in line, and your sensory spicy individual waits elsewhere, and then you reunite towards the end of the queue. If you're using this accommodation, I highly recommend that you have most of your party wait in the queue. And nothing will anger your fellow guests faster than making them feel like you have a big party of 10 cutting in front of them, when it's actually just a accommodation for your specific needs. And then there is location return times. So it's similar to DAS, but requested individually at each attraction. If this is your accommodation, I recommend carrying around a small card describing your needs and a little bit about your DAS video chat. It'll just make the whole process smoother. I'll also mention that not all rides do have this accommodation. And then finally, there is a stroller as a wheelchair tag. This is a fantastic option for those who benefit from a familiar enclosed space where you can just shut the rest of the world out. This allows the stroller to go in more places in the park and also in some queues. Not all of them though. And speaking of strollers, our personal lifesaver, the mobile sensory space. This is our Disney Day game changer. We use a regular stroller as a little mobile sensory sanctuary. We put the shade down, have a blanket draped over the top for lower light. He's got headphones in there. We do allow screen time during these breaks, a soft snuggly blanket, and then of course whatever plushie he has picked out for the trip. It's his cozy, portable decompression zone. On our most recent visit, my kiddo tried to push himself and go on a ride that he's been scared to go on for the last few years and ended up having a panic attack. Fortunately, at the last minute, we were able to get off the ride before it started, and he went in there. He spent a good hour in there just regulating his nervous system and calming back down. This also comes in handy for those busy walkways in between lands. Shutting out the crowd during those unnecessary times allows him to have more mental stamina for the rest of the day, so we can actually stay longer before we take our midday break. So Disney does offer a lot more accommodations than most people realize, and they can be tailored to your family's specific sensory needs. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is be kind to the cast members. They are truly there to help you create a wonderful Disney vacation. Even when the process feels confusing and stressful, being patient and kind really goes a long way. And remember, you've got this. And your next Disney day can be absolutely amazing and neurodivergent friendly with a positive attitude, some flexibility, and the right accommodations.